So you want to write a campaign. Excellent. All creative writing genres are different and require different priorities for different elements. For tabletop RPG games, we'll need the usual skills of vivid description, world building, and compelling characters, but at the same time we need to be prepared for the ultimate wildcards. The players. We are not at the helm of our world when the time comes to actually sit down and roll the dice. The players are in charge, they own the world, and can make their own choices. So how can we make a compelling world while also remaining aware it could go completely off the rails at any moment? Well, welcome to the Ruiz Writing Center. I'm Teacher Taylor, and this is Fantasy Friday. Let's go. So if I had to guess, you already have some bones of your world planned out. You've got some characters, you've got the final boss all planned in your head, you have a genre in mind, maybe some compelling NPCs, but how can we tailor those elements into a compelling, malleable story? The first two things that are an absolute must are a compelling beginning and the ultimate end. Let's break those down. The beginning is one of the few things in your tabletop RPG game that you actually have control over, and you simply must make the most of it. This is the moment your players awaken in this world that you have designed. And here are some tricks I've learned as a writer and a DM that you can certainly try if you would like. One is to put them in your second best location. We should always keep the 2-3-1 rule in mind, even in any sort of tabletop game. We start with our second most compelling ideas, save the middle for our filler or ideas that we might not even have come up with yet. The middle is very changeable. And most importantly, dedicate our best ideas, locations, and characters for closer and closer to the end. Step 2, in my mind, is to make it different. Have your players start in the middle of the action, falling from the sky, in prison, falling from the sky, in prison. Not falling from the sky in prison, falling from the sky or in prison. Although you could, I'd be intrigued. I'm gonna write that down. Falling from the sky in prison. Oh, wait. The movie did that. Oh, Jonathan! Man, I'm way too late to the punch. Fine, we deviate from the movie. Just think of the weirdest setting you can think of. Someplace they would not expect to wake up. These ideas will be so much more fun than so you all wake up in a tavern. Nobody will remember that. Throw them in the deep end of your world from the very beginning to start right. Trust me, your players will remember that shocking moment forever. And shock value is your best friend. The middle of your story is the most malleable and content-heavy section. This includes everything between your first and last sessions. And the biggest challenge here is to keep your party entertained and engaged with your story. And when you're planning your campaign over potentially a number of months or even years, that can be difficult. So what do we do? Well, this really depends on the format that you choose to follow. Are you doing a full-length, gold standard story, beginning, middle, end, classic, big monster at the end of the trail with little monsters on the way? This path sets up for some glorious foreshadowing payoff and generally can maintain an awesome cinematic atmosphere. Or are you doing a series of kinda related one-shots where you get to go into a bunch of different kinds of worlds every single time? Consistency is not needed, you can make up everything as you go, and it is very unlikely that your players will ever get bored if you're in a new place every single day. Obviously, both have their perks, but first let's talk about our more linear stories. You're able to add noticeable escalation, you can introduce more and more difficult monsters, and like I said, you get that fantastic plot payoff as you're able to hint at things that happen later in your story. Each of these, when executed well, can make your campaign unforgettable, but there are some important things to keep in mind as you do. One is to remain flexible. As beautiful as it can be to plan out a whole campaign, you're not at the helm. Like I said, we're not in charge. When presented with several choices, your party could completely derail your plans. And that's why I recommend beginning with an outline of main plot points that you can apply at any convenient time, no matter where your party is at the point. And that way, no matter where your party is, your middle portion can still generally progress how you planned. For example, if I say I want this to happen on session 4 of 12, then no matter where they end up at that time, I can introduce the character or fight or plot point as needed.
Hey, this is Editor Taylor. I just thought of the perfect example to apply to this, and it's the cultist from Skyrim, to where no matter where you are after you visit the Greybeards for the first time, they will find you. That's how you need to plan your plot points. So sorry for the audio quality here. Anyway, back to the video.
2 is to escalate. The general progression of leveling up during a game makes this process pretty easy, as players gain extra skills, gain in health, can take bigger hits, you're able to introduce more and more difficult monsters, but there's still more to story escalation than fighting more powerful creatures. Here are some ideas. Remove any help your party may have had. Put their favorite NPC in peril and they have to go save them. RP escalation is just as effective as combat escalation, if not more so, as it challenges their creativity just as much, if not more so, than just their knowledge of game rules and combat. The party needs to feel the endgame approaching in every aspect of their gameplay, so it's important to keep it balanced. My third tidbit of advice is plot twists and foreshadowing. The worst thing we can do as game masters is to keep things predictable. As fun as All Reliable Formula can be, aka party hears about a giant undefeatable monster hoarding loads of treasure and they have to locate it and defeat it and level up along the way. Nothing wrong with that, but it is much more fun for both you and your players to dish out something completely unexpected. Have them meet the big boss in their first session. Have someone close to them betray them. Give them a cryptic prophecy in the beginning that's just a fancy pants version of your outline. Your party will lose it when they realize they had the answers from the very beginning. Long stories like the campaign you're planning allow so many opportunities for circular storylines, character development, and just so much more. The main key is to try new things, serve your party something unexpected, and make sure to maintain a balance between RP and story and combat. It's very important. But what about those one-shots? Another option for a campaign is a series of one-off stories that puzzle together into a campaign. While this makes some things like foreshadowing or consistent NPCs difficult, it can allow for you as a storyteller to just reach into so many different genres and worlds, and just your imagination can go crazy. But creating an outline can still be extremely helpful here, just like in a complete campaign. No matter where you are, introduce the plot points in the sessions or locations you had planned, introduce the key fight, introduce the villain, wherever they are. Location is secondary, both in linear and one-shot campaigns, to the clues, weapons, magic items, villains, whatever, that you feel will advance the story in your outline. But what about the ultimate ending? Because that's what your players will remember the most, so that's why you gotta save your best for last. Endings can be just as difficult as beginnings. As fun as defeating the dragon and splitting its gold is, we've done that 100 times. What can you do to make your ending memorable? One is handicaps. Make your players think that they are even more at a disadvantage than before. Their kidnappers take their weapons. They are cursed. Their magical abilities were stolen. They can regain them during the fight, because we obviously don't want them to die. Nobody wants that. Unless you do, I don't know. More important is that shock factor for that final fight. They need to really believe they might not be able to win. 2 is betrayal. I know I brought this up in the middle, but honestly, this might be the best time for it. In a similar vein, remove someone they trust. Turn their favorites against them. You can choose to redeem them afterwards if you wish. Maybe they were like under some evil mind control or whatever. And it will do wonders to keep your players on their toes. 3 is rule of cool. The most important part of the story, again, is your party. And this is their big moment. They often craft incredible ideas related to a final battle. Hear out these ideas, bend the rules, let them push the limits of their character. Make sure they can all get that spotlight moment they're really looking for in this final moment with a character they've spent so much time with and developed these awesome abilities. They'll thank you for it. And 4 is, who doesn't love a plot that comes full circle? Have them end up where they started in some way. They can return physically to where they began, but obviously much more developed than they were before. One example of this is when I pitched you can start your story with them falling out of the sky. You can return to them falling in some way before achieving safety. It's just poetically nice. Ultimately, the key is beginning, middle, and end to provide a fun and surprising experience. There's nothing wrong with old reliables, especially if you have players who've never done this before. But if you're working with experienced players who are looking for something new and fun, they will thank you forever if you serve them something unforgettable. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the Rui's Writing Center for more English content. Follow us on our socials for book recommendations and so much more. And I will see you next time in the Rui's Writing Center.